mind.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so
just
early.
have to settle in. And we're off.
I'm always interested to see what the first play out of the tip is. I know coaches really focus on that first play. It's interesting to see what coaches want to get going early, which if you're Connecticut, I guess you don't mind an open three.
I think something people don't know, and I actually didn't do this. I don't know about you if you ever did this with Coach Rayama, but I get to the WNBA, and it was when Brian Adger became our coach. We actually drew up, and I know you do this in Phoenix.
Yeah.
We drew up a first play, a unique play, maybe something from our playbook every single game. We had something different to throw at people for that first play. So it is always a little bit of a sign on what you're looking for.
Right. Pow, pow.
Pow,
What
pow.
a great sign for South Carolina. And you know what? This kid just feels like the moment's never too big for her.
Yeah, I think Holly, discussed this pregame. She was really disappointed. Pow Pow was really disappointed in her play and her leadership in that blowout back in February. So I feel like we can count on her to step up. She's in a similar boat as Paige. She's a senior. This is it. We already saw some actions from Sarah Strong, the freshman you got your eye on.
Baby Jokic. I mean, her footwork, her hands, the way she sees the court. She's really, really special. And Chloe Kitts, someone that you mentioned that was a bit quiet in the Final Four game, but those are the type of plays that she makes throughout the game that makes South Carolina really good.
Yeah, she's that player where you don't have to run a lot for her. It's not about, getting her to her spots. It's almost like she just finds them naturally.
Right.
Paige got that 1-footer. That's really important for Paige. Interestingly, in this tournament, we noticed it in the UCLA game.
Yeah.
She doesn't really get going.
Yeah.
Hasn't really got going until the second half. So for an early jumper to fall.
Yeah. I would say for someone like Paige, being a senior, you can pick and choose when to be aggressive. I think as you get older, we talked about this earlier, if you don't get off to a hot start, there's so much game left, you'll eventually find it. But in a game like this, the sooner the better probably.
Yeah, to add to that, I think also what happens when you get older is those lulls where you're not getting shots, you're letting your teammates kind of get off, they don't impact your rhythm as much.
Right.
Your experience doesn't allow you to get mental about your rhythm. You stay in rhythm the whole game no matter what.
I mean, early on, you can see there's a focus on everything on AZ Fudd is over the top, being physical. They force her to a contested three. And, but these are the ways, playing off the ball that can get you going, and she's one of the best in the country. I love that, yeah. I love that.
Ooh, thought about it. There's your girl.
Who's that?
Raven Johnson.
Talk to me. Talk to me, Raven.
How do you feel about her calling you a lady?
I mean,
that's a compliment.
3 times a lady.
She said that lady called. That lady's a legend.
Raven always finds a way to impact the game. Obviously, they're in the back cut. But, defensively, I'm really going to watch how she plays AZ, where she's not going to help off the corner like on that. And other players are going to get opportunities like Caitlin Chen just did.
I don't think people understand how difficult that shot Caitlin Chen just made is. That is a driving layup where you're taking off like a tiny bit earlier than you're used to, and the touch that's required, that's a skill.
I feel like that's adaptation when you're 5'2".
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
I never got that, but yeah.
Even Raven denying the wing and making them play to the other side.
Oh yeah, she's face guarding AZ.
Yeah, I mean,
listen, the reality is everything we talked about that we hoped would go well for UConn, shooting threes, South Carolina's on the other side saying we can't let them shoot threes.
Right.
We can't let them get off from the three-point line. Chloe Kitts. You just knew she wasn't going to stay quiet for 2 games in a row.
I just love these kids that can bounce back from a tough night and come back and make sure they have an assertive attitude like Sarah Strong does every night. I mean, this kid is so smooth. She can seal and finish with both hands. I mean, Chloe Kitts is a great defender. She plays space really well in angles.
Well, she's so mobile, which allows her to be so versatile. And then as she gets older, she'll just probably continue adding to her offensive skill set. Tough. All the shots that AZ wasn't making in the Elite Eight, some of these bunnies, she's made in these last 2 games. And that's just a nice, got her left hand off the ball there. That was a one-handed shot. Foul me on my left, that's okay.
You play so much better when you play with some assertiveness.
Yeah.
You know, and we've all been there where we're just floating on the court. Like, AZ in the last 2 games has been so assertive, and you can see it from the tip. And it just makes Connecticut's life so much easier. And Paige, in these moments, doesn't feel like she has to do everything. And that can suit them well in the long run.
Isn't it funny, though, as a player, maybe you're at a point where, you've had a little bit of a tough stretch. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not shooting as well. You're a little tentative. You're trying to find it. But even aggressive mistakes don't feel that bad. The tentative ones feel awful.
Anything off the back foot?
Yeah. But when you're in that moment where you're trying to get out of it and you're making those tentative mistakes, It's like you just got to convince yourself to be aggressive, and good things generally happen.
Oof.
And that's where Caitlin Chen changes things for this team. Mike Oriama's wife.
Shout out.
Caitlin Chen is just so steady.
I mean, she had such a great 4 years at Princeton, and those are the free agent pickups in college right now that can just change the next year for you.
And that's what South Carolina is going to have to do.
Yeah.
To have success, to build leads, hit those O boards. I mean, that's where Paige is going to have to get stronger, find her physicality in the ways that she can use it.
Yeah.
So you're not just, looking like Gumby out there. All right, we got a timeout a couple days ago. How are we feeling in the early stages?
I'm feeling good about it. I kind of went in hiding for a year to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And my body just needed the break. And then as the year went on, it was like, it's done. I'm finished and I'm happy with that. But through the year, I got time to try out retirement. I'd be at the grocery store. They're like, you play for the Mystics, right? And I'm like, I used to.
David, how does that feel?
It's funny. I don't know how to answer that either anymore. Do you play basketball? No. Did you?
Yeah. I'm still getting used to that, but yeah, I was trying it out for the year. But it's interesting too when you finally announce it to everyone in social media. I was real weepy for the day because it's almost like that
makes it real.
Yeah, it makes it so real. People are talking about your career, and you're
it feels like a funeral almost.
Yeah,
I was saying
retirements are weddings and funerals. A retirement party is a wedding and a funeral at the same time. It's all the people you did all the cool things with.
Yeah.
And it's bye.
And it's
I might never see you again.
No. Now what? So we'll see.
All right, so we'll definitely get into some of your pro career, USA basketball, but what do you remember about college, playing in the NCAA tournament?
Oh, man. Delaware. We were bringing the state down. It was such a crazy moment for us, especially my senior year. Yeah. We were hosting at Delaware.
I remember those.
Those games were crazy. I was tuned in.
They were crazy. It was so loud. And then we were playing UNC. We weren't supposed to win.
Right.
And we did. And Vice President Biden at the time was there. And the building was just so loud. It was bursting. And to go to the Sweet 16, unfortunately, lost there. But quite the underdog, fun story.
Well, you've been in a bunch of big games, WNBA champion, gold medalist. When you're in South Carolina right now and you're playing against a Connecticut team with everywhere you look, there's people that can score.
Yeah.
What do you tell your team? What do you tell your
almost
teammates?
just have to stay in it and stay in the grittiness of the game, especially the pace of Connecticut. Yeah. You kind of just have to deal with that. And I don't know about you guys, but like the beginning of a game, especially like a big one, how out of breath.
I'm like, can
we were
these
just
2
talking
minutes
about
just
it.
go away?
Go away.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I need this to go away so I can sit down on the bench and like breathe again. It's so weird.
And process what
You're
just
waiting
happened.
for that first TV timeout.
Yes,
Absolutely.
And you got to get the second.
By the way,
win.
somehow you're back. You're back. You go from being so tired and like to then first TV timeout happens and everything settles in.
and you're fine. It's so crazy how that happens. But like, it's like I'm not gonna breathe again. Like,
Yeah.
This is so hard. I don't think I can play this game, and then you're fine.
So what was your experience with Coach Rima at the Olympics? What are kind of the takeaways like, oh, this is why he's a great coach, or, this is why people don't like him?
No. He's brutally honest, but it's in such a good way, and it just makes you so much better. He helped me so much moving without the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I forget the amount of time he said something like, you only will have the ball in your hands for this amount of time in a 40-minute game. It was like maybe a minute. And he was like,
Look at that team.
What else are you doing?
All right.
That was
We have opinions about this team. We think it's the best Olympic team ever. Thoughts?
Down. I mean,
It's pretty hard
stop
to
it.
argue that.
I mean,
Everyone's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
that's 12 Hall of Famers on one team.
and you guys were on a lot of teams. And this is my one team, so of course it's the best.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to say that's the best one, but we were good.
Well, it's one thing to have the best players, but like the way we played,
Oh my God.
we had so much fun on that team.
we did.
That was just a great team.
So that's a team that had great vibes.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been saying about UConn. They have a great vibe.
Yep.
A really great vibe. Moving screens
see
don't help
that.
those vibes. But so South Carolina now hasn't scored in the last
Wow.
2-3 minutes.
You got to
So
get
it's been
something
3
good.
minutes they haven't scored. It's still just a 3-point game, but again, that's the one thing that I feel from UConn, the vibes.
Elena, how
for
hard
sure.
is it to go back to back? South Carolina won last year, trying to get to that back to back status.
It's so hard
What are the
because
challenges?
like almost like the first time you do it, you're like, oh, all right, like we did it. Blah,
Yeah.
blah. But then to do it again, it's really tough. And just you want to see them get through these stagnant moments, which they're in a pretty good position right
yeah.
now. Only 17-14 and they haven't scored. But to do it again, it takes so much. It takes luck. You got to be healthy.
Yeah.
We all know that.
We all know
We
that.
all know that.
But yeah, these two coaches have been lucky enough to play for them.
When you end the quarter with a basket,
I'm telling you, it's good vibes only. It's
It
good
is.
vibes only. All right, Elena, before generation of Hall of Famers with and against. And because of that, we're going to have some pretty unique experiences where we're going into Hall of Fames with people we played with.
yeah, that's a whole different ball game. And I mean, the generation that we were in, we talk about it all the time. Every single game was a battle because you were playing against Hall of Famers left and right. It didn't matter who you were playing against. Speaking of Hall of Famers, what's better than going right and pulling up, Sue?
Actually, I like going left.
I know you do, but still.
You do too.
But I actually, once I had back surgery, I started going right more for my pull-up.
No.
Yeah, because right was my sciatica a lot in the leg, so I couldn't push up. Yeah.
I think going right for the pull-up is something that as I got older with my knee,
Yeah.
it became harder and harder going
Yeah.
right. Going left was always more natural. And
Yeah, I
it
think
just is for a righty.
for righty anyways.
But I could go right, and then slowly but surely that got hard. I tried to add
floater?
more like a runner. No, not a floater. Like a legit runner. Which, to be honest, I wish I had either done sooner or I had like 2 more years with it. I was getting good at it. I
Yeah.
needed like 2 more years with it. If I were going to teach like someone like a Paige, when she took a one-legged runner earlier in the game for a guard. Yikes.
I mean, Sarah Strong,
That's what I'd be teaching guards right now.
Yes, is a
one-legged runners.
force.
Yeah, she is.
She just affects the game in so many different ways. Just when you think you have a layup, you don't.
You don't.
You don't.
South Carolina ended that first quarter on a major drought. They didn't score for like 4 minutes. So just to see the ball go through the hoop right now, anything will help. But again, it's only 7 points. This game is far from over. No nails in the coffin yet.
No, we are going to save those for the last 2 minutes of the game. This is the one thing about South Carolina when they're in these positions. I don't feel panic. I don't feel frustration. I just feel like they're going to put their head down and continue to play every possession after possession. And, next thing you know, it'll be a tied game.
I will say the one thing that jumped out when we did that flashback earlier to 2022, Aaliyah Boston on the block. That is the one thing this South Carolina team, of course, after graduating her, graduating Camila Cardoso, they've missed that type of presence. I think at the start of this game, they're only 3 for 10, now 4 for 11, maybe 5 for 12, given that last layup in the paint. So, that's something that they always counted on in years past that they haven't had.
Yeah,
They've had to find other ways.
Yeah, I think they're getting to the paint in different ways with dribble drives and a little bit more space. But, even then, we just talked about the high-low. South Carolina's perfected the block-to-block high-low, which is tough to guard.
It's tough to guard.
I'm
like, is it on purpose?
You don't practice that.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to defend that. But South Carolina's patient. They know what they want to get to. Playing for Dawn, she does always put you in a position to really maximize mismatches. And I think you're starting to see that in the last 2 possessions.
Yeah, we saw it in the semifinals as well. Joyce Edwards was able to get off a little bit, taking her matchup one-on-one. The thing I think when I look back to playing for Dawn and then seeing her now and seeing how her teams respond to her, I think she lets players has a really unique ability to let players be exactly who they are.
Right.
While also having them buy in to a team system. And that's not easy. Sometimes coaches will ask players to essentially adapt or adjust or change something about their game.
Remember in 2004, we got to Athens and Dawn called a team meeting.
Yep.
She just pulled us together for 10 minutes just to refocus on what was the task at hand.
Do you remember what she said?
I don't remember everything.
I remember.
I know what I heard.
She pulled the team only meeting. It was actually after the pool play. So now we're going into the knockout rounds. We're heading into the quarterfinals. And she's like, listen, pool play means nothing.
Yep.
Yes, we got great wins. It means nothing. This is when the real tournament starts. And this is when no individual stat matters.
Yep.
This is when the only thing that matters is winning. And then she said, nobody remembers who the leading scorer was in 2000, in 96, in 92. They only remember the gold medal.
So true.
And that was her message to our team.
I mean, what a great message. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's the message that these South Carolina teams play with. Obviously, you've had the superstars in Asia Wilson, Aaliyah, Cardozo, Alicia Gray. I mean, you've had these superstars, but they always seem to play, like you said, within the constraints of what she wants you to do.
Connecticut on a little bit of a drought of their own.
I mean, this is the most animated I've seen Dawn and Coach Rama in a while. I mean, we always talk about players competing. I love when the coaches compete.
Yeah. So there's been no field goals for UConn in the last 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Joyce Edwards has 2 fouls. Jana El Alfi has 2 fouls. Just something to keep your eye on. Are they on the bench? They are.
I mean, I think 2 fouls for teams like Connecticut and South Carolina don't affect you as much as, they would Texas with Madison and how much of the scoring load that she takes. So that, the 2 foul discussion's a little bit looser with these 2 teams.
Yeah, much easier to keep people on the bench longer.
Absolutely.
40%? Nope. Oh, Jana is back in the game.
I think you can see South Carolina speeding Connecticut up a little bit. They seem a bit rushed.
On offense?
Yeah, they seem a little bit off kilter, and this is what the Gamecocks do. They find a way to enforce their will on you.
That's what I was thinking with Joyce Edwards. 2 fouls. Do you, don't you? I think you actually have to take, when you're South Carolina, you have to take especially a post player out in that scenario because they play such a physical style, because they're going to try to get more physical, more aggressive with Connecticut, and you don't want her picking up that third. And now we get to see how Connecticut's going to respond. And now the South Carolina fans start getting into it.
And if you think about it, this is the pace, the rhythm that South Carolina wants. They want to be able to seek out a mismatch that they like.
Oh yeah, it's already been like the tale of two quarters in terms of the pace and the styles.
And this is what Connecticut wants to do. They want to push pace. They want to attack closeouts and, get to the free throw line.
AZ Fudd's family in the building.
It's been really neat to see all the families of all these kids, because I can think back on like when my parents and, our families they couldn't wait to get to the Final Four.
They had like a bond.
Yeah, they all did. And you see the South Carolina families, and you could just tell they're like living this ride with all their kids and, all their family members. It's such a special time for a lot of people.
I mean, we've been talking about our own retirements a lot, and what's something you realized when you retire, what else happens? Your family is dealing with a loss.
It's a lot of grief.
It's a lot of grief for them too. No more games to go to,
yeah.
No more parties to attend.
Yeah.
But it's
strong deep catch. Gets blocked beautifully by Tessa Johnson. And it'll stay here. 3:50 to go in the first half. Plenty of drama through the first two quarters. It's Connecticut who leads by 7 in a matchup between Dawn and Gina. Compliment to me because I actually study a lot of Nikola Jokic film and try and implement aspects of his game. Strong deep catch and 2 more for Sarah Strong. Connecticut a 9-point lead.
Not an accident that the play was drawn up for Sarah Strong coming out of that huddle.
South Carolina started 5 of 7. They are 4 for 18 since. Strong 8 points, 8 boards for Wiley again as Fudd steal it away. AZ Fudd to the cup.
Mylasia Wiley can be such an X factor for South Carolina because when she's in open space, especially in transition, she can be virtually unstoppable. AZ Fudd has done a nice job on her here in this first half.
And Wiley's been limited to just 3 minutes in this first half for South Carolina. Here's Raven Johnson, can't pop it in. Loose ball, dug up by Pow Pow and Fudd, the reach in.
We saw AZ Fudd do this early in the game as well, just able to get in, just the help side, the poke, and then pushes it out in transition and finishing the other way.
For a little more on Mylasia, let's check in with Holly.
Well, Dawn Staley was frustrated with Mylasia early in this game. She pulled her out, and I could overhear her say, "You've got to play today." Later, she sidebarred with her in one of the huddles. She is pushing Mylasia to play the right way. That starts on the defensive end, and if they need her scoring offense, she can help them score when it gets challenging, but she's got to perform defensively.
Well, no doubt, Holly. I mean, Mylasia Wiley, when it comes to pure talent, she has no doubt the highest ceiling on South Carolina's roster. And there's games like the Sweet 16 against Maryland where the offense was basically exclusively run through her in the fourth quarter.
She can change the momentum of a game within the course of 3 or 4 possessions.
Fudd drives it, kicks it. Chen attacking, gets blocked by Johnson, controlled by Kicks. Big defensive play there from South Carolina. Can they cash in on this end? Kicks, deep catch, Kicks. Unable to finish through the contact.
Another great rebound by Sarah Strong.
Strong trying to go coast to coast. We'll ask for some help. Becker's right back to Strong. Couldn't flip it in. And Raven Johnson the rebound.
Raven Johnson has had a massive impact on this game. Only 2 points, but a massive impact.
And now can't quite hit the jumper. Strong, her 10th board. And Raven Johnson told us the other day, people always want me to do different things. I just try and impact winning however I can.
She's been tough on the defensive end. She's been all over the offensive and defensive glass. Just pure toughness here in this first half.
South Carolina's gotten some good looks, but have gone cold after the hot start. They've missed 16 of their last 19. Here's Chen, 5 to shoot. Into the arms of Beckers, 2 to shoot. They don't for Johnson and Edwards, and 5 lead changes in that first quarter, no lead changes in the second. Also remember, Joyce Edwards picked up that second foul on a call that our Violet Palmer said should not have been made. Then she sat on the bench the remainder of the second quarter. We figured Joyce would have to be a big part of South Carolina's offense when she does come in here in the third.
Curious if South Carolina might look to attack Janet El Alfie, see if they can pick up a fourth here early in the third quarter.
El Alfie with 2 personals, guarding Fagan, attacking her. Fagan unable to finish, and Strong has her 12th defensive rebound of the game. Connecticut just 1 of 7 from 3 in that first half. Here's El Alfie putting it on the deck, bouncing it out. Chen attacks the closeout. Her leaner is short. Rebound, Pow Pow. Pushing pace for South Carolina with Connecticut back. Pow Pow as it wrestled out of bounds by Beckers. It'll stay with the Gamecocks.
It's a rare opportunity for South Carolina to try to push out in transition. Tahina Pow Pow takes advantage of it. Really good hands. I think that was all basketball by both Fudd and Beckers.
Just 4 fast break points for Connecticut in the first half. Hitz unable to hit the 3. Rebound loose, scooped up by Beckers. South Carolina with just 1 fast break point in that first half. Fudd can't lay it in, but gets fouled by Bree Hall. And free throws here for AZ Fudd. Fudd, who was significantly under the weather in 2022 in the national championship game, really struggled against South Carolina. Played just 16 minutes, was 1 of 3 from the floor, had just 3 points, but bouncing back in a big way today. For a little more on AZ Fudd, let's send things over to Holly.
Well, AZ Fudd has been building towards this moment for all of her life, thanks to her mom, Katie, who had a pretty creative way to get her to develop that left hand. The saran wrap across the right, a little skill development, make sure you're good with both sides. I just love that. Her mom has poured so much into her, and her dad, Tim Fudd, lots of work with AZ in the offseason, and there she was as a little girl. That was the cutest picture I think I've ever seen.
I mean, Holly, when she told us the story, we thought she was talking about like 12-year-old AZ. No, not 2-year-old working on the left hand, as Kid's able to finish through some contact.
Ryan, UConn's guard defense has been so good out on the perimeter. South Carolina has to rely on their bigs to create looks like you just saw from Chloe Kitts, like we saw in the first half from Joyce Edwards, what we saw in the semifinal matchup against Texas.
Here's Beckers giving it up. Fudd already with 15. Can't get that to drop in. Hits the rebound. Here comes Pow Pow. Pow Pow. Off to Hall. Lob it in. Edwards quickly in off the bench. And a foul is going to go against UConn. It'll be on AZ Fudd, her second. Talk about how tough that Connecticut defense is.
Man, just so many contested shots for South Carolina, and they were about 50% on the uncontested ones. There just weren't enough of them.
Here's Pow Pow. Dipping inside, throwing it out of bounds as South Carolina turns it over.
Can we revisit the saran wrap for a second? You and I are both parents. We know that there is a multitude of uses for saran wrap. I did not know until we saw that picture and heard that story that was one of them.
Does that keep toddlers in bed through the night?
You let me know.
Maybe an NIL deal with saran wrap coming for AZ Fudd. Here's Fudd. Pivoting, dishing. Chen will fire way off. And the rebound to Fudd. Another chance for UConn. Fudd on the drive. Floats it in. AZ Fudd with 17.
There was only so much Joyce Edwards could do because she has her 2 fouls.
The big three has it humming for UConn. Fudd strips it. 3-on-2. Chan all the way in. Can't finish. Good contest there from Raven Johnson. On the other end, Hall, they need it. Don't have it. South Carolina 2 for 10 from 3. Connecticut just 1 for 8. And that was the #1 key for Dawn Staley, keeping Connecticut out of transition and limiting their threes. South Carolina has done that. Chen can't get that one either.
South Carolina's done what they need to do on the defensive end of the floor. It's been their struggle to score that's been the problem.
And Becker's going to pick up a foul there. That'll be the first on Paige Beckers. Hey, the 2025 Men's Frozen Four begins Thursday at 5 and 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Pow, Tessa Johnson, Chloe Kitts, Raven Johnson, and Joyce Edwards, the 5 for South Carolina. Becker's strong, El-Alfie, Fudd, and Shade for UConn. And that's going to be a foul here against Connecticut. And we'll see who they give it to. If it's El-Alfie, it is her 3rd. And it is number 3 on Jana El-Alfie. Significant because we have not seen Connecticut go small with Strong at the 5 much in this game. Here's Kitts, shouldering in. Kitts gets another whistle against El-Alfie, and that is going to be her 4th. So back-to-back fouls on Jana El-Alfie, and now she'll have to check out.
Chloe Kitts does a great job with some fakes to get El-Alfie off balance a little bit. Looks clean up top, but she definitely got her with the body down below.
And Violet Palmer, our rules analyst in the truck, confirmed she thinks both calls were the correct foul calls against El-Alfie.
No, El-Alfie doesn't provide a lot in terms of scoring on the offensive end, but she is a big physical presence who had a great semifinal game against UCLA and Lauren Betts.
See longtime assistant Chris Daly coaching Jana El-Alfie through this. El-Alfie's parents made the trip from Egypt, saw maybe her best game of the year in the semifinals in that win against UCLA. Meanwhile, Malaysia Fulwiley, can she provide something in this second half? You talked about it before, Rebecca. She can change a game in a 3-minute stretch. Was held scoreless in the first half. The SEC 6th Woman of the Year.
Ooh, Edward lost his shoe.
Strong, soft touch for Sarah Strong, and the freshman with another double-double.
That might normally have been Joyce Edwards' help in double inside, but she had to get her shoe.
Tessa Johnson can't finish it. Rebound Fudd on the weak side. 13-point Connecticut lead. Fudd, what a move. AZ Fudd all the way in. Danger time for South Carolina. And a whistle going to go against Ice Brady. And that'll put South Carolina at the line with Connecticut already over the limit.
AZ Fudd, throughout the course of her career, known for her pure jump shot. She has added a real shiftiness to her game attacking the rim.
On the fans in Gamble, love what they're seeing from AZ Fudd, who will return to Connecticut for another season. Said she had a conversation with Gino Auriemma where Gino said, it just feels like if you leave, you're always going to think, I didn't get to accomplish everything I could in a Connecticut jersey. She agreed and decided to come back, a collegiate career that up till this season has been besieged by injury.
And a young woman who also loves the school part of it. She graduated in 3 years, taking grad courses since then. She still enjoys the daily grind of going to class in addition to basketball.
Holly?
And it's remarkable that she feels that way about the school because she's been through so much. She has been out for much of almost a year and a half with knee injury, having to fight her way back to the court. She went 728 days without being able to play in an NCAA tournament game, but not today. She is not going to be denied, even though she was delayed.
Spot on, Holly. 21 from Fudd now. And South Carolina take advantage with Connecticut over the limit. Fagan bodying in. Nice move from Sanaya Fagan, who's really had a terrific senior season for the Gamecocks. Dawn Staley has told us many times she's the most important player to have on the floor for her team because of her communication. Strong and easy too.
Two-man game with AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong puts so much pressure on the defense because Fudd, with the way she's scoring, if you send two to her, you get the easy delivery to Strong on the roll.
Pow, pocket feed, Edwards. Strong finish from the freshman.
And same thing on this end that time with Pow and Joyce Edwards. Great two-man game.
Beckers gets fouled, and Paige Beckers will go to the line to shoot a pair. Will step aside. 4:26 to go in the third. All three thus far.
When they're all playing well, it's the best big three in the country. And we have seen that consistently now here through the NCAA tournament.
Paige Beckers at the line. Sinks the first.
I mean, when you look at that big three, Paige Beckers will be the #1 draft pick this year. When Sarah Strong comes out, she'll most likely be the #1 draft pick. AZ Fudd next year, it's interesting to see where she will go. Most likely a lottery pick. I mean, that's the level of talent we're talking about with those three players.
They might play that clip back in a few years. 15-point UConn lead. Can South Carolina make a push? Wiley is in. Knocked away by Beckers. Edwards has it stripped by Strong. Again, good hands from Sarah Strong. And the Connecticut defense has just been fantastic thus far in this game.
This is a UConn team, because of how they score points, get so much credit and attention on their offense. They are terrific defensively. On ball and help side. Something they work on every day.
Here's Pow. Giving it up. Wiley can't get it to drop. Gets it back. Another chance for Malaysia. Wiley, runner is good. Does that unlock Malaysia Wiley, who can get hot in a hurry? We saw it in that game against Maryland. Struggled early, was taken out. Colette Law, the assistant for Dawn Staley, told her, give Malaysia one more chance. A story told to us by our colleague Carolyn Peck. Dawn did, and Wiley ended up leading South Carolina down the stretch to the win in a comeback in the fourth.
Tough floater, and how important for your confidence to finally see one go through.
Wiley knocks it away. He can be that kind of disruptive defender as well. Wiley leads the break, and Fagan lays it in. And a timeout taken by Connecticut. Gino Auriemma doesn't want this run to simmer for South Carolina. Malaysia Wiley.
Malaysia Wiley has been super impactful on both ends of the floor. We've seen her run in and get a shot. Help side coming over to get the block on Sarah Strong, and then the poke out front leading to an easy two the other way for Sanaya Fagan. She has been so good and impactful here in a very short stretch of time.
And Malaysia Wiley has had this kind of connection all season long with Khadijah Sessions.
When Malaysia Wiley comes out of games, it's Khadijah Sessions who sits and talks and coaches her. Khadijah has known Malaysia since she was in the 5th grade, and even in practices, that's the coach who is in her ear. They watch film together. There's an incredible amount of trust between those two women.
3:10 to go in the third. Strong fakes the three, gives it up in the corner. Fudd, you bet! AZ Fudd is on fire. 24.
What an answer. And you can use your 4-player as the facilitator to get the pass to AZ.
That's going to be the second foul on Strong, and free throws here for Joyce Edwards. And you can see Dawn Staley upset with what happened on that previous trip down the floor.
You don't help off the strong side corner.
Just the second three of the game that UConn has hit. as Edwards misses the free throw. South Carolina now 7 of 11 from the line. South Carolina looking for a second straight title and a third in 4 years, a fourth overall in the last decade. Connecticut seeking a 12th title and their first since 2016. Strong's three is good.
Joyce Edwards was right there. She was right there with a hand in the face.
Now UConn has the long ball working. Edwards spinning, gets denied. Kitts working the interior, dives in, couldn't finesse it home.
UConn with their small lineup now, which had put Paige Beckers on Chloe Kitts defensively.
Arnold wheels back out. Fudd fakes the three, gives it up. Shade attacking, laying, couldn't finish it. Beckers the rebound. Underneath, Beckers gets the whistle.
Sarah Strong, dribble penetration, full Wiley comes in, helps off of AZ Fudd. Fudd makes her pay. This is a good contest defensively. Sarah Strong, just eyes on the rim, able to drain it. Dawn, frustration. It felt when Gino took that timeout that South Carolina was building that momentum, that if they could come out, get a couple stops and scores, they could cut this to single digits. Instead, the lead has ballooned for Connecticut.
Yeah, South Carolina had scored 4 straight. They were starting to get full Wiley going. And out of that timeout, back-to-back threes, and now these free throws from Beckers. The UConn big three, 100 points in the NCAA tournament. First trio since 2009, a pretty good one for Connecticut. Maya Moore, Tina Charles, Renee Montgomery. Raven Johnson muscling in. Johnson fading, a lot of contact, no call. Rebound gathered by Beckers, and then she is fouled.
But Ryan, that is not a recipe for success offensively for South Carolina. For Raven Johnson to be going one-on-one and backing down, but that's what they've been left with because of how good UConn's perimeter defense has been.
We've had so many coaches throughout this season talk to us about, everybody always likes to comment on the fluidity of Connecticut's offense. It's their defense that's so impactful. We have seen it here today, just like we did against UCLA. Arnold gets denied, but fouled. And that'll be number 3 on Edwards. Free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn in its small lineup, that leaves Joyce Edwards defending on the perimeter, defending a guard, and that time KK Arnold recognized that she had that quickness advantage. Now South Carolina going a little bit smaller to match UConn's lineup.
The 29th annual WNBA Draft, Monday, April 14th on ESPN and the app. The Dallas Wings have the first pick, followed by the Seattle Storm with the second. Washington Mystics have the third and fourth. Our coverage begins with WNBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Beckers unable to hit the three. Paige Beckers, the presumptive number 1 overall pick. Where will Bree Hall, Sanaya Fagan land in that draft? Maybe Tessa Johnson hasn't, maybe Raven Johnson hasn't said yet whether or not she'll be back for another year at South Carolina. As Strong picks up her third. Here is our current mock draft now that Olivia Miles, the Notre Dame point guard, chose the transfer portal rather than the WNBA, was the projected number 2 pick. Tessa Johnson to the line with under a minute to go in this third. The UConn lead has swelled to 19. As Johnson hits the free throw, we check in with Holly.
I want to follow up what you're talking about, UConn's defense and how good they are, but this is going to make WNBA GMs salivate. Sarah Strong, 90 steals and 65 blocks this season. No UConn player in history has more than 75 steals and 60 blocks in a season. And she's a freshman playing this level of defense. She got called for the foul there, but she has made such a huge impact. 90 and 65, guys.
And again doing it today. 15 points, 14 rebounds, blocks and steals for Strong. As the foul is called on Edwards, and that will be her fourth. So now Chloe Kitts will come and get the talented freshman Joyce Edwards. Edwards and Strong, the top two freshmen in the country. You throw Michaela Blake's in there as well. But Edwards and Strong actually good friends who grew up playing together since middle school. The AAU circuit, Team USA, really connected with one another. Strong said her team used to always lose in AAU to Joyce. Her school team got Joyce's once, but she said Joyce's teams usually won, as Strong gets her first breather of the day. What a performance from the freshman. 17 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. Pow Pow off on a 3. Raven Johnson couldn't hold the board. And a foul is going to be called on South Carolina on Tessa Johnson. She was trying to force the tie-up and gets whistled for the personal. And Dawn Staley frustrated with that one. And I think you could see Gina Cross saying, look at the foul count, which so far 14 personals called on Connecticut and 12 on South Carolina.
I mean, that's fair. She's on her arm. You know, Tessa Johnson's grabbing Ashlyn Shade's arm, and it's right in front of the official. They tend to let a little bit more physicality go, like in the post, than they do out on the perimeter when it's so obvious.
20-point lead for UConn. Violet Palmer in the truck agrees with the call as well, our rules analyst. Here's Pow Pow. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Pow Pow spinning, taking, can't finish. Rebound Griffin, and that'll do it for the third. UConn.
AA tournament as well, and it's just been so impactful here and limiting what South Carolina wants to do on the offensive end.
20-point UConn lead to begin the fourth quarter of the national championship game. UConn seeking a 12th title. South Carolina a 4th. And a repeat. KK Arnold being ridden the whole way, able to finish, plus the foul.
And this is UConn's super small lineup. They do not really have a traditional big on the floor, and there's great spacing as a result. KK Arnold just driving, gets a hit pass, and able to finish.
And the Connecticut bench fully engaged. Maddie McDaniel getting some time here for South Carolina, as Arnold completes the three-point play, largest lead of the game for UConn. A UConn team that has been simply dominant in this tournament this year. McDaniel gets fouled and will shoot 2 as the foul is called on Beckers. That'll be her second.
The more time South Carolina can score and cut into a lead with the clock stopped, the better. So not only McDaniel's ability to get the free throw line here, but one foul closer to the bonus for them. You heard Dawn Staley talk about in the interview with Holly.
Yeah, she talked about in the interview with Holly before the game as well on our pregame show. She talked about just trying to get UConn in a close game, knowing that they have not been in many close games this season. In fact, they've only played 3 games all year, UConn, which have been within 6 points in the final 5 minutes, and they've lost all 3 of those games. It's been a while since they've been in one of those situations. So Dawn talked about just keeping it close and seeing if maybe they would tighten up in that spot. You see South Carolina has handled those situations quite well, but obviously right now, a lot of work to do for the Gamecocks to create a moment like that. Arnold stops, takes, gets fouled again by McDaniel. And free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn always has terrific spacing offensively, but especially when they have a lineup that looks like this. They do not have a player, over 6 feet tall on the floor, able to space you out. Every one of these women on the floor can face up and drive by. We've seen that now 2 possessions in a row from Arnold.
You talked about it. We saw this lineup with Aubrey Griffin at the 5 a lot in that regular season matchup against South Carolina because Sarah Strong was in foul trouble in that win.
Right now, it's just to buy Sarah Strong a little bit more rest over on the side.
Second free throw good. 22-point edge for UConn. Beckers with 12 points, 5 rebounds. Fudd with 24 points. Sarah Strong, 17 points, 14 boards.
KK Arnold battling inside against Chloe Kitts.
And called for the foul. One player South Carolina is without that's worth mentioning, Ashlyn Watkins, who was a huge game changer for them a season ago, tore her ACL earlier this season. No question they have felt her absence the last couple of months without her.
Perhaps the most athletic big in the country, and her ability to impact both ends of the floor as a result.
That's out of bounds off of South Carolina, UConn basketball.
South Carolina continuing to extend its full court pressure. Has not been a problem so far for UConn.
Strong back in with Beckers, Fudd, Arnold, and Shade. Pow, Tessa Johnson, Bree Hall, Maddie McDaniel, and Chloe Kitts for South Carolina. Here's Beckers. Her jumper is good with a hand in her face.
You cannot defend that handoff any better than South Carolina did.
14 for Beckers, steal from Shade, fouled by Kitts. And the Connecticut defense just suffocating.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you work on something defensively. This is handled pretty well. Kitts comes out, contests, has the length right there. Paige Beckers simply unbothered.
Dad Bob loving what he sees, out of his seat to celebrate. Strong, oh what a finish! Reversing it home. McDaniel a 3, no. Strong, the rebound, and got it out of her hands. Here's Beckers on the break. Fudge 3. Off, and a foul going to stay right here as Arnold got pushed from behind.
We've talked all game long about Sarah Strong and her hands and her feet as well. I mean, this is a tough catch, just spins it right up softly so it rolls in.
Joyce Edwards will come back in for South Carolina with her 4 fouls. South Carolina has already committed 4 fouls here in the 4th. It's a lot of time for UConn to get to the free throw line in the final quarter of this season. Beckers backdoor, pops it in, plus the foul. It's raining blue in Tampa.
Wow, Paige Beckers reading the cut. The ball delivered beautifully. Absorbs the contact. Look at the react. KK Arnold, the bench. They're feeling it right about now.
Paige Beckers now tied with Maya Moore for the most points in NCAA tournament history in her career, and now ahead of her, Shamika Holtzclaw and Caitlin Clark, the only players with more total tournament points than Paige Beckers. Edwards flings it out. A 29-point UConn lead. Edwards lost it out of bounds. Going to stay here. More unrelenting defense from UConn.
And what's remarkable is we're 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. Oftentimes you see teams play like that in the first quarter. UConn's still doing that here into the fourth.
Lob it into Edwards. Edwards can't get the bank to drop. Strong just volleys it into the backcourt. Bree Hall able to flag it down. And an issue with the shot clock there that they want to get right. They reset it on the slap from Strong. You hear the UConn fans in love with what they have seen so far today. Fulwiley dashing through. Beautiful finish from Mylasia Fulwiley, the star sophomore. Been held to just 4 points today. Fudd fakes the three. Strong does as well. Fudd gets a clean look. Little off, and Edwards couldn't handle the rebound. It's going to stay here with UConn. UConn has hit just 3 threes in this game. I think if you would have told anybody before the game, hey, UConn's going to go 3 for 14 from 3, they would have thought South Carolina is going to be right in this game.
And be limited to 6 fast break points.
Their defense has just been sensational, and they've gotten it done inside the arc on offense. Arnold on the attack. Arnold lays it in. Fulwiley, wow, my goodness. What a move from Mylasia Fulwiley.
And good job to go quickly as well, because you need as much time as possible. On the other hand, you see UConn, deliberate, walking the ball up the floor. Will be looking to stay aggressive while using clock.
Under 6 minutes to go. Using all the shot clock here. Beckers gives it up. Strong. You bet. The lead is 30, and the freshman is thriving. How about 22 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in her first national championship game. And KK Arnold adding a little something off the bench in this second half for UConn.
Sarah Strong is the next big star in women's college basketball in terms of freshmen.
Strong trying to come up with a steal. Beckers does. A 30-point UConn lead after they beat UCLA by 34, the largest margin of victory in a Final Four game. Fudd leaning, can't hit, got it back. Beckers will run more clock.
This is a disciplined, intelligent team when it comes to late game situations.
Strong, 2 to shoot. Strong rumbles in, kicks out. Fudd, little off, another offensive rebound. And UConn can run more clock. Arnold dashing in, 2 more. Fagan gets held up, out of bounds, 4:01 to go in the fourth. UConn on the doorstep of title number 12. Everybody in of her first championship, playing in her fourth Final Four, and she's been excellent in this NCAA tournament. Her career point per game average, 19.9, highest in UConn history. The third most career points in NCAA tournament history. Only Shamika Holtzclaw, Caitlin Clark with more. Her 40 in the Sweet 16, a UConn tournament record. And we talked to Gino Auriemma yesterday and we said, do you want this one for Paige? He said, of course I want this for Paige. He said, no, usually we take care of this by our star sophomore years. He said she's had to live in a grind, not in a fantasy land like some others, as South Carolina's upperclassmen will check out now. We'll get back to Paige in a moment. But you see the hugs for Fagan, Pow, Raven Johnson, Bree Hall. We asked Dawn Staley yesterday about whether or not she's thought about it being the final game for so many of these impactful players in her program who have won a couple of national championships here, have been to Final Fours every year of their collegiate careers. And Dawn said, you know, the thing she feels great about is there's nothing missing from their resumes. They've accomplished everything they set out to here. And she also knows they are prepared to make an impact at the next level. She said whatever role they have on a team, she knows they're going to go into a camp, and that coaching staff is going to say, I like their work and I like what they can bring. And that's the way Dawn Staley prepares her players.
And she also said these women have grown into resilient young women who will never be taken advantage of in their life, and is as equally proud of that as anything she has helped them accomplish on the basketball court.
And obviously, today is not the day for South Carolina. This has been a brilliant performance from UConn, but you can't say enough about the program that Dawn Staley has built in Columbia. This is 5 straight Final Fours. They have won 3 championships over the last 9 years. They have won 2 of the last 4. And we know they're not going anywhere. They will be a premier power in college basketball for as long as Dawn Staley is at the helm. Edwards can't finish. Sarah Strong, 114 points in this NCAA tournament, the most by a freshman in Division I history. I think Diana Taurasi's Baby Jokic comp is pretty spot on. As Gino Auriemma is going to take a timeout, get Caitlin Chen back in. KK Arnold will receive a nice hand. .220 to go. The Connecticut faithful behind their bench on their feet. Becker's one to shoot, off one leg. Can't drop it in. Rebound kicks, had it taken by Shade. And UConn will run more clock. But Gino Auriemma was talking to us about that win in Columbia in mid-February. At that time, the question was, could UConn compete with the best in the country? They had lost to Tennessee. They had lost to USC. They had lost to Notre Dame. Becker's, not that time. And he expected to go in the locker room and see them really celebrating that win against the Gamecocks. Instead, he saw them totally businesslike. And he said, that gave me a good feeling for what was to come. Paige Becker said it wasn't celebratory, it was motivating. It was the first example of what we really could be. And it's exactly what they have been over the last couple of months. Auriemma and Connecticut, the final page.
Lugovic bảo thằng này đánh không fair play. Kêu với trọng tài thằng này đánh không phản, nó cứ đánh kéo sân cho thằng Lugovic để chạy nhọc ấy. Bài nó gì đó như thế thì
nó trẻ hơn ông già nó phải tính cái bài đó.
đúng rồi, là nó không fair play lắm, nhưng mà
Nó đạt được
gọi là đối thủ khó chịu thôi, nhưng nó cũng không phạm luật gì. Đấy, còn khác không có lưới rồi. Thằng kia nó mới có 19 thôi. Kia nó có 19 tuổi thôi.
trẻ hơn đâu, chỉ có ít kinh nghiệm thôi, khỏe hơn chứ.
Bằng nửa tuổi thằng này 38 rồi. 37 hay 38 rồi. Đi nào đi đâu, cống nằm tóc, quay, phụ ơi chúng bật, ngồi bật cốc, cốc người ra, nhà gái hết. Wow. Ting 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 ting. Nó quay á. Bắt nó là gì đấy,